which is going to focus on the Citrus Tiger line. Now, the Citrus Tiger line is a line that's near and dear to me because it's something that I've been working with since 2009. It's really the catalyst of what got me into carpet pythons to begin with back in the day. I've been keeping carpet pythons since about 2003, and the Citrus Tiger was one of the ones that really catapulted me into wanting to work more and more with all the different subspecies and species in the carpet python complex. The Citrus Tiger line is a line of tiger carpet pythons that trace back to Jason Balin's original line of tiger carpets. Now, the original line of tiger carpets would be considered a coastal carpet python in the hobby here in the U.S. That original line of tigers we'll talk about in a later episode, but Jason produced some of these animals, and the one animal that stood out to me was one that was on Anthony Caponetto's website. And Anthony bought this tiger carpet from Jason in 2002. And I just remember going to Anthony's website and being blown away by the color on this animal. I think the thing that stood out to me, as you can see in these pictures, number one, I love the contrast between the yellow of the base color, the dark black that sort of outlined the striping, and inside that stripe was another color of sort of charcoaly type of yellow. It's hard to explain, but as you can see, it just makes for a stunning snake. That contrast is just amazing. And you know, the other part of what really drew me to carpet pythons was just the whole structure of the face and the scalation on the face, which there's that one classic shot that Anthony had on his website that was showing that off. So Anthony decided that he was going to pair up this tiger that he had with this high contrast Queensland carpet. And he got his directly from Dave Prada, and here's that female here. And this is what Will would later purchase from Anthony and make what he would call his HCQ tigers. You've probably heard me and Owen talk about that if you listen to Morelia Python Radio. These HCQ tigers were sort of, you know, cutting edge back in the day around this time, because you have to remember in the early days of carpet pythons and the carpet python hobby, there really was only a few morphs. There was tigers, jags, then obviously it was cutting edge when they combined the two, the tiger and the jag, which reduced the pattern on the jag even more. But again, we'll get into that in another episode. But the one thing is that, you know, this pairing between the tiger and the HCQ coastal carpet it just made insanely bright yellow tigers and just intensified that contrast even more. So Will picked up the male, and he wanted to continue to make brighter and brighter yellow tigers. And his HCQ tiger is what started the line for the Citrus Tigers. So he grew these up into adulthood, and right around the same time, this is when I heard Will talking about this line of carpets that he called the Citrus Tigers, and I heard him talking about it on Reptile Radio, which is the original reptile podcast back in the day. So let's talk about the female, or the HC Coastal, as Will came to call it. The dam of this line was a snake that Brian Taylor, a.k.a. BT of Reptile Radio, had picked up from Jane McPherson. She was sold to him as a reduced pattern jungle carpet. But even though Jane sold the snake to Brian as a reduced pattern jungle carpet, when Brian put the pictures of her up online, many people told him that she was indeed a coastal carpet and not a jungle carpet. So Brian was this purist, and he wanted lines that could only be traced back, and he didn't want any kind of confusion on his jungle projects, because at the time he was working with a line of jungles called the Vantenvetter line, which not many people, you don't see many of people working with that line. I think Eric Kohler is one that stands out to me as somebody that one of the only people that I know that's working with that line. But I'm sure there's people out there somewhere with Vent and Vetter jungles. But since Brian was a purist, he only worked with pure lines of jungles, so he sold this snake to Will Bird. And Will kind of figured that it would make an excellent addition to this HCQ Tiger project. So he bred the two, and I think the first pairing was in '08. He bred them, and some amazing snakes popped out. And I had heard him talking about this on Reptile Radio, and I was intrigued. So I went over to his website, and I checked out what he had going on. And here was this pair of tigers that were just killer. I just was blown away by the color on these things. So I immediately contacted Will to see if he was going to repeat the pairing and what was going to happen. So this is where I got my first pair of citrus tigers. I think I paid $1,500 for the pair. Here's the clutch right here, and here was my male. And this is the female. And then with a little more color, this is what they turned into. This is the female. And this is the male. I love them so much that in 2010, I contacted him and I bought the whole clutch. I also picked up 3 more from the 2009 clutch. Now, some of these turned out to be what I would consider the citrus look, and then others sort of just turned into what I would call coastal carpet looking animals. And the funny thing is that Owen had sort of wanted to get in on this project too, obviously because we both love tigers, but he kept seeing my name pop up because Will would post underneath all the pictures of the available ones, thank you to whoever bought them. So, you know, he said, thank you, Eric Burke. And Owen's saying, who is this Eric Burke guy? Which is just kind of funny. So anyway, I bought I had a pretty big group of them, and I bred them to each other to produce more killer lines like some of these here. Just amazing striping, amazing color, just stellar animals, stellar animals. And then I started to get more into the morphs that if we bred these to albinos, they would make for crazy looking albinos and tiger albinos with a stripe. And I bred them to caramel zebra jags. I bred them to caramels, and I bred them to granites. So most of the people that probably are into carpet pythons might know Riley Jimison of Riley's Reptiles, who does some YouTube content on carpet pythons, is really trying to get the word out there. He was the first one to actually breed he got a het from me, a het albino. That female is just incredible and looks a lot like the mom. And he was the first to produce the albino citrus tigers and caramel albino citrus tigers as well. Chris Salemi, he also produced some citrus tiger jags. He bought a het albino male from me. Pretty much the rest of them, other than a few, I kind of kept them all back. I burked them, if you will. And I have a couple ideas that I want to keep going with this project and sort of see how much I can refine it. But as you can see, this is my adult female, and she's 14 years old, and she still has this color. She's produced numerous clutches for me. Amazing snake. And this is my male. He's 14 years old as well. and still maintains the color. Now, he has a bit, so there's two kind of looks to where you can see that he has a lot more black in the saddle striping, whereas the female, the black is only outlined along the stripe that's on the back. And it's more of a gray charcoal type of color that's on the sides. The portals kind of reminded me of a retic in some type of way. So that's really what attracted me to them in the beginning. And it's just amazing snakes, just really, really killer snakes. And a lot of people slept on this project. And, you know, I think that there was a lot of people that were sort of staying away from it, probably because of the undocumented female that sort of established the line. There's also the HCQ coastal carpet line that's sort of in question. But as you know now, a lot of those, what we would call northern coastals, are all sort of the same thing and are different than what would be called a southern coastal. And they kind of fall into that box for me. I would never label them as pure coastal carpets at this point because of the question mark in the line. But it still doesn't change the fact that these snakes are stunning. And I think a lot of people get hung up on the idea that, you know, if the snake is beautiful and you like it, then that's what you should work with, and don't worry about what other people think, because I didn't worry about what other people thought with this project. So that's it for this first episode of Understanding Carpet Pythons. More to come. If you have any topics that you want us to hit on, please feel free to reach out. We'll be showing off our collections. We'll be showing off animals in the collection, and we'll do more like this where it's a little bit of history of what certain lines are, or even just certain animals, you know, because carpet python breeders had a tendency to name a lot of animals, and they sort of become somewhat iconic in the carpet python hobby. So we'll break down all that, and we'll definitely give you as much carpet python content as we possibly can bring you. So if you want more carpet python content, please check out Morelia Python Radio. It's a podcast where we focus on the breeding and the hobby of carpet pythons, really coming at it from a breeder's point of view. We also have Carpets and Coffee that we have a bi-weekly live stream where we just kind of hang out and sort of talk about carpet pythons, and then talk about some of the things that we got going on in our personal collections. We also have Carpet Cliff Notes, which is sort of approaching the same thing as Morelia Python Radio, but more from a standpoint of a keeper's point of view, and sort of focuses on answering a specific question. So plenty of content to absorb there. We have NPR going back to 2011, so tons and tons of information on carpet pythons, how to keep them, how to breed them, anything you possibly want to know about them. And we look forward to seeing you in the next episode. So if you like carpet pythons, then be sure to subscribe to the channel for more content coming your way. Thank you.